Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. Before I start today, I've got a couple of things I wanted to talk about, so if you just wanted to come and watch the review, I'll put a timestamp up now so you can skip all of this stuff. Right, I just wanted to say thank you all so much for the response that I got for the last video. It was absolutely fantastic. It's almost at 5,000 views, which is crazy, and got lots of comments, and it's all just ideas and everything. It's great, and it was exactly what I wanted, and I'm really, really happy with how that turned out. And also, oh my god, thank you so much for over 2,000 subs. That's incredible and a bit terrifying, so I think I should probably try and get these out a bit more frequently. I will try to. I always keep saying that, but I always seem to mess it up somehow. The other thing, for people who follow this channel quite a bit, would probably realise that this should have been a review on an aircraft. But to be honest, I've just had a really rotten time while trying to get some footage for it. I wanted to try and play the Mustang D30 or the Lancer after their BRs got switched around. This is what happened, right? I played a couple of games. First match I played in the Mustang, which you can see here. I had a couple of nice kills, and I thought, I can use this. That was a decent engagement. And I was strafing a couple of ground targets, and on my way back to base, after flying in a straight line, I had someone crash into me and proceeded to try and say it was my fault. I thought, okay, I'm above that. I'll just ignore it, play another game. So I had a game in the Lancer, and nothing really happened. I think I got an assist. Okay, I thought, okay, I'll keep doing it. I'll go for another match. And the other match I had was really good. I had a couple of really good kills. I could definitely use that as an example. And on my way back to base to rearm, I was going to strafe a couple of the AA units, and out of nowhere, I got my pilot knocked out instantly by one of the static AA points, and I thought, right, the game just is telling me to stop trying to do this at the moment, isn't it? And I'll give up with it. So I did. I thought I'd just play a tank instead, because if I'm not having fun playing planes, I don't think I'm going to put my all into a review about them. So until that kind of spark comes back, I think I'm going to focus on tanks. It might come back, tomorrow, and I might have another plane video out really, really quickly. It just depends on how it's going to go. Anyway, on to the Challenger. So, why would you play the Challenger, I think is the main thing everyone's probably asking, when the Centurion Mark 1, which is possibly one of the best 5.7 vehicles in the game, is at the exact same BR. The Challenger is at 5.7. And on the surface, there's absolutely no reason. The Centurion has better mobility, a more stable gun platform certainly, and a much better armor. It can bounce Tigers and sometimes Panthers as well if you angle, so it's really efficient for that. But the Challenger has a very quick reload. I've got it on an A screw that I bought specifically for this video. It's a good use of Eagles, sure. But I've got the reload up to 5.1 seconds, which is about a second quicker than the Centurions if it's not aced. And it's more than a second quicker than the Comet's reload, which I think is pretty special as well. And I think that's the only real reason to play this vehicle over the Centurion, and in some situations it can really, really help you out. And I'd even go as far as to say, if you're playing top tier, I think that this vehicle is better to take out than the Centurion, because you're never going to be relying on the armor of the Challenger. And at top tier, it's a lot better because you're a lot quicker in a straight line, and you have that gun that fires a lot quicker. So as long as you get the first shot off on whatever you shoot at, you're going to knock it out, providing your aim is good. Got a pretty fun game today. Lots of peculiar things happen. So I'll get to that in a second, but before that, I will take you through the lineup that I've been using for 5.7 Britain. Right, this is the lineup that I've been using for 5.7 Britain. For the aircraft, I like going with the Sea Fury because you've got a really powerful aircraft that's pretty versatile in the maneuvers it can pull, and it gets the 12 RP3s as well if you like. And I personally am finding them pretty good at the moment. You can hull break all the SPA, you can kill things like Tigers and Panthers if you hit them right, and it's still a decent option, especially for a fighter as well. If the skies are a bit clearer, I want to go with the Firefly Mark 5 because it's going to be a relative staple from 4.0 up to maybe 6.0. As you do have a lot of rockets that you can dish out. I mean, if you're not going to kill what you're shooting at, you're going to cripple them, certainly, so it's still a decent option for that. I've got a bit of a soft spot recently for the Mosquito, the Mollins Mosquito that is, with the 57mm. As I found it ammo racks pretty reliably. I've had a pretty decent job getting these weird ammo racks on Panthers and things like that. So it's something I think is like if you've got the spawn points to spare, it's decent. You can disable things top down really efficiently as going for the engine, and it's not a bad option at all. For your tanks, to back up the Challenger, I want to go with the Comet, as it basically is the Challenger, but just a little bit worse. The turret armor is pretty efficient, but apart from that, it's just a slower Challenger with a worse reload. But even so, it does its job really well. It's a really decent backup, because it can still pen everything you're going to see, and it's just fine. It's fine. It's a tank. It's just what you're going to want to be taking. If you really want to play the Challenger and don't want to play the Centurion, it's still a staple to have it in your lineup, as it is close in my head to a 10 out of 10 vehicle. You have fantastic armor for a medium tank, which so comes with medium spawn cost as well. Great mobility, great traverse rate, and still a great gun with a pretty stable firing platform as well. It's what you're going to want to be adding to your lineup for sure. For your SPA, either the AA Crusader Mark 1 or the Oerlikon Crusader is still just a fine option. It depends what you prefer. I like this one for taking out tanks. I like the Oerlikons for taking out aircraft, because this thing is a bit lackluster when it comes to that. But it still does its job, you know, it's perfectly fine. It's just, with SPA, I think it depends what you're more confident with and what you prefer. I like using this, but the 20mm variants are still completely fine up until, you know, you get the Falcon pretty much. So I think that's a pretty fine staple to go with. Anyway, let's have a look at the game. Right, the match today is 5.7 on Berlin. It was one of the only 5.7 matches I actually managed to get while playing the Challenger, and it was pretty enjoyable. So what I'm aiming to do here is cover C. I can use the speed of the Challenger to get there decently quickly, and what I'm trying to do is put myself in cover, but allow myself to cover multiple different sight lines at once using the camera. So I can just sit behind a couple of the walls and look around and make sure that nothing's sneaking up in the flank or trying to get into C. And I've got a couple of teammates with me as well, so that'll help out. I think this is relatively the best way to play the Challenger, because you're not going to want to be out in the open. Your reverse gear is too slow to get out of trouble. You need to put yourself in a pretty reliable spot that you can just cover multiple actions from, because your gun fires so quickly compared to everything else you're going to see. You need to use that to your advantage, and you don't want to get yourself spotted or take any risks. So I see a Tiger here rushing for the B point, put a shot into the driver, and as he's popping in and out, I aim up for the turret and finish him off before he even has a chance to really work out where I'm coming from. And that's literally how quickly you can dispatch tanks with this gun. It's really effective for 5.7. There's nothing armor-wise that's really going to give you trouble at all. So I'm just waiting here to see if anything's going to try and push up to the flank, because I think I'm decently quick up here. But a KV-220 has slipped by, and I know that he's roughly to the left of C, so I'm just trying to see if he's going to drive out or not, just so I don't want to push up too far. But he's been tagged on the map at least, so I'm going to push up to this building here and just look around and try and spot him. I do get shot at there, so I know there's at least one other tank. It's an 85 as well. So I see him there, put a shot into where I think the breach is, take out 3 of the crew, and push up. Just try and finish him off quickly. Put a shot into the back of the turret, but he doesn't have any ammo stored there. So I can just try again, shoot underneath the cupola there, kill the loader, checking that I'm not getting flanked from that other 85 behind me. Try and put another one in, but the crew member hasn't come back yet. And I'll just drive out, wait for him to point his turret towards me, and shoot right into the gunner, and there's the KV-220 down, which is a very satisfying kill, especially while playing the Challenger. So I see a KV there, swing the turret around, go through the machine gun port, trying to get the driver and the engine or the gunner. I get both, and just wait to kill the gunner as well. But those are 2 very heavily armoured tanks, just taken out incredibly quickly by the Challenger, which is what it's good for, because you have that gun, and as long as you can either kill the driver or the gunner, respectively, relative to where you are, like if you're in front of the tank or behind the tank, to pretty much everything, you can shoot the engine and then you can kill the gunner before the turret has a chance to turn around and hit you. So it's very good at that. So what I'm doing here is I'm trying to see where that 85 has gone. He's right there. and the Jumbo hasn't noticed him, so I'm going to mark on the map, please pay attention, there's a tank behind you, but sadly he doesn't really pay attention to that. And because of how the Challenger is, seeing an 85, I need to get a good shot on him. He can shoot me anywhere, I'm going to be disabled, but I need to aim for the driver or the gunner, hopefully the gunner on the T-34, so I'm playing it conservative here. I'm just using the camera to wait to see if he's going to come behind me, because he knows I'm here now, or if he's going to drive directly to C, and I can just sit here and wait. And I know this is a thing not really many people like to do, but with a tank like this, playing it safe is really the best option, because there's no reason to really rush, especially at this point. We have all the map locked down. I just see him drive across there, so I'm waiting just for him to come across, go for all of the crew there in the angle, and one-shot him. It's another pretty easy, reliable kill there. Something starts capping C, but it's killed very, very quickly by the Sherman. Just scanning around here to see if there's anything else coming up on the point. There's not, and the Panther is the only tank there. So what I'm aiming to do now is stick on this line and cover the C point a bit further, just to make sure that nothing's going to come up and flank and hit the C point again, as a lot of tanks have died over here and they probably want a little bit of revenge. So I don't know why I stop here. I sort of get stuck on this rock for some reason, and a 122 rather comes up and get him in the engine. So it's an easy, simple kill. I can just roll up, finish him off there. And I want to head, ideally my route being from here to the apartments, or rather the right side of the enemy spawn, because I know there's a couple of tanks putting some shots off over there. So I'm just waiting for the team to push up so they can help me, because I don't really want to go on my own, especially because I am quite a fragile tank. And having the ability of tanks engaging other tanks while I'm there, I can pick anything apart that I like, really, and that's something you're really going to want with the Challenger. So I see something giving the Hellcat some trouble, and for some reason I think it's an SPA, so I'm not really worried. I didn't really think about the tracers there, and it's a KV-2 ZIS and a T-34. I finish the KV-2 effectively, and I bounce a shot from the 57, but I can beat his reload, take out the loader and the engine, and the KV-2 gets killed by the Sherman, and the T-34 gets killed by the Hellcat. Could have been 2 kills there, but you know, there's no point being greedy with it. They're out of the match, and it's a pretty reliable win from this point, but there's still quite a few tanks left. I'm just scanning over, because the IS-1, excuse me, got lit up there, and I just want to make sure that there's nothing else with him. I don't want to push behind the spawn, because that's not really fair. I want to kind of push in front of it. So I'm trying to come around here, and I want to push in front of the spawn. So I know there's a couple of tanks around B as well that I want to try and get rid of, and an IS-1 as well. So I'm letting the Soki go down south, so he's going to alert me second-handedly if there's another tank over there, and I can push up through the middle just to stop anything. I don't really like going over here, but at this point in the match there's no other real direction to go in, so it's the only real option. The Soki gets killed by a ZIS-43, so I know he's there, and he can pen me from the side, so I'm just trying to be a bit cautious and work out where he is. But I see this IS-2 here, and for some reason I didn't actually think he was alive, which was a fault on my part. But the nature of Sabo and the crew placement on the IS series, you can just go right through the front plate, and you're 99% of the time just going to one-shot them. And I think I'm going to leave the ZIS-43 now, because I know there's a couple of other tanks giving everything else some trouble, and he's not really going to be a major threat for the remainder of the match. So I'm going to look under the bridge here, and here are 2 KV-2s. I take out one of them, and I actually bounce a KV-2 round in the Challenger. So I think that means no one's allowed to be mean to the Challenger anymore after it's done that. That's a pretty impressive feat, right? So I'm just really picking him apart, taking out the crew members. He's not really got a chance to get a shot off. I think I hit the wood there for some reason, but oh well. Go for the gunner, but that Sherman again takes another KV-2 kill, but hey, it's fine. Out of the match. Could have been the 10th kill, but doesn't matter. So I want to push across to the apartments now, but a lot of tanks have just died, which means something is very likely going to spawn up, and I'm just going to wait until, give it about 10 seconds or so, just to make sure nothing's going to spawn up. And the Hellcat's driving across as well, so he's a good alert system. But a T-34 spawns up, so, and I think he's spotted the Hellcat. So all I really need to do is just wait here until he's either too distracted by the Hellcat or one of them shoots each other and I can pop out. Again, there's no point really being rash with it. So he sadly does take out the Hellcat, but it doesn't mean I can pop out, take my time. It's a D5T, so it's only 4 crew members, get the commander and the driver, and I can just go right through to the other side and take off the other half of the crew. And there's nothing spawned up. I want to rush quickly. I don't want him spawning an SPA to the other side to take out that one tank that I know is still there. But at this point the match is pretty much over, but I would like another kill. I don't know exactly where he is, but I know he's here somewhere. He hasn't fired for quite a while, so he's probably backed up a little bit. So I can just use the camera to check all of the corners and make sure that he's not hiding somewhere, which he very well might be. Also, this dislike camo, it's works quite well on urban maps, which is a bit silly, but I do like the red tanks as a whole. I think it's quite fun. I catch a glimpse of him there, just sort of sitting in the defilade by the river for some reason. Don't quite have enough gun depression, but he doesn't see me, so I can pop out, go through the side of the turret, get 2 of the crew members. Again, it's a D5T, so I can just push up. The gun's already reloaded, and I can just wait for the crew members to come back, shoot into the side, just get the breach, but no problem there. I can just trove up again and take him out. And he's not trying to drown himself, which is a good thing, but even so, I don't think he'd have time anyway. That's kill number 9, which was a pretty fun match in the Challenger. I think that was a really good example of how it works pretty well. I did get very lucky, I do understand that, but bouncing a KV-2 round in the Challenger is something I don't think will ever happen again, but so there was a fun little engagement there. So the Challenger is a bit odd in that if you don't have the well, if you don't have the Centurion, it's a decent option, but if you do have the Centurion, it's like almost seems like you're disadvantaging yourself by taking it out. Because it is just a worst Centurion, but the advantages that it does have in the quick reload can work from 5.7 all the way up to 6.7, because you can still penetrate pretty reliably anything you're going to see. And so the armor on the Centurion isn't going to be super reliable, because you're going to be seeing long 88s, 122s pretty rapidly, so you're going to die in one shot anyway. So if you take out the Challenger, you have the advantage of getting to a location quickly and rattling off shot after shot, beating pretty much everything's reload at that point, which as long as you can get the engine or the gunner or the breach on a tank, you can pretty much reliably take them out, and it's still a decent option. It's just, I suppose it's not an easy or a fun tank to play in that its playstyle is a bit boring. If you want to get a good result with it, you shouldn't really be putting yourself into a situation where you're going to see a lot of action. You just want to put yourself in a spot where you can cover multiple different directions, because you can react very well. If there's 2 tanks engaging you from different spots, you can fire at one, re-engage and shoot at the other one while going back and forth, because your reload is just so quick. But the downsides of it is that it dies very, very, very quickly, and it is at 5.7. For most people, it's a playstyle that I don't think is very engaging, and it's not really very fun. So most of the time you are just going to be playing it a bit more aggressively, and it doesn't end well. But its reverse gear is what really kills it at that BR. It just can't get out of trouble if it finds it. So if you do get caught out, there's nothing you can do. You're going to be stuck, which is a real drawback of any tank really, but especially this one. And that's where the Centurion really beats it again, is that it actually has a reverse gear, which is something that this tank desperately does need, and it would be pretty good, I think, if it did have a reverse gear. Its turret can bounce some shots, and I have found that if it does get penetrated, since it has 4 crew members in the turret, I usually only lose 3 of them, so I'll have another shot at engagement. But it's still not something to rely on like that. It's not a complete lifeline, it's just something that happens quite frequently. But even so, I think that its survivability is something that you shouldn't rely on, and that again is a drawback from the Centurion. But if you play it cautiously, and if you put yourself in a spot that conceals you completely, you're going to have a decent time. You can negate the armor of anything you see quicker than any tank that you're going to be playing with or playing against, with a relatively similar performing gun. But comparing it to other tanks, mediums rather at the tier, like the Panthers, T-34s, Centurions, you know, it lacks the versatility that other 5.7 medium tanks do. So it's not going to be the best tank that you have the option of playing, or the most dangerous tank you're going to see. And in that regard, I think I'm going to rate it a 6 out of 10. Thank you for watching. Sorry again that it's taken so long. It's been a pretty odd time recently, but I'm glad I got this out. Especially on a tank that I think a lot of people find a bit challenging. So it was fun to get a couple of good games in it to show you guys, and I hope it helped. And I hope maybe it's convinced you to give the Challenger another go, because it can be pretty reliable, fun, I guess. It has that Sherman factor, so killing any tank in the Challenger feels like a massive accomplishment. So it's pretty fun like that. It's a tank I think you should all try out at least once. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoy. If you want to see anything in particular, please let me know. I'll do my best to take it out. So thank you very much, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.